The Hawaii County Council passed a new bill that's going to regulate vacation rentals. I'm going to give you an update on that up next and talk about a meeting that's coming up. So if you have some input, you can show up. So more on that coming up next. Hey, what's going on, friends? Dylan Maka here, the By Big Island video blog, and I'm going to talk about Bill 108, which is now Rule 23, and that was the vacation rental bill that the County Council passed recently that is going to regulate short-term vacation rentals on the island of Hawaii. And this is going to have a big impact on property going forward, especially for investors who are looking to vacation rent their property. You know, maybe they live in it part-time and then they want to rent it out for the rest of the time. Depending on the zoning area that you're in, it's gonna affect whether or not you can do that. And so I'm gonna provide you with some information, but first a disclaimer: if you have specific questions about your specific situation, I'm gonna provide information to the county down below where you can call and ask them specific questions. A lot of this is developing; they're developing the rules, and there's more specifics to come. But I'm gonna give you the general outline first, and then as this develops, we'll provide updates. But the first thing is, this is going to apply to short-term vacation rentals in operation after April 1st. So if you were in operation prior to April 1st, there will be a process to apply for a non-conforming use permit, which will allow you to continue. But super important that you have a legitimate operation, you have tax licenses, and you're doing all those things that you need to do prior to April 1st, and that deadline is coming up quickly. So if you're looking to buy a property and it's not currently a vacation rental, you would need to get it into operation prior to April 1st. So that's an important deadline that's coming up very quickly. Some other qualifying factors, definition factors for short-term vacation rentals: it applies to dwellings where the owner doesn't currently reside at the residence. So if you are an owner occupant and you're Airbnb and you're downstairs, or a bedroom, it's not going to apply to that. So these are the vacation rentals where you're renting the entire house out and there's no owner on property for that dwelling. It's going to apply to residences of no more than 5 bedrooms, and it's also going to apply to residences that are rented for 30 consecutive days or less. So that's what the definition of a short-term vacation rental is: 30 days or less. And so overall, it's going to allow short-term vacation rentals in areas that have either resort, general commercial, village commercial, residential and commercial zoning districts in the general plan, and resort node areas. So if you're in one of those districts or zoning areas, you'll be able to continue short-term vacation renting your property. It's areas that are not in that which are going to be restricted going forward, or required to apply for a non-conforming use permit if you are currently in operation prior to April 1st. And so that's something to consider, is most condos are in those different resort areas. And of course, this doesn't supersede any CC&Rs that may further restrict vacation rentals. So if you're in a condo that is in resort zoning, but they have CC&Rs that restrict short-term vacation renting, then that will still apply. So this isn't going to override that. And then if you are going to do a short-term vacation rental, you will have to register. And so there's going to be a $500 application fee and then a $250 renewal fee thereafter to continue to operate year after year. And this process, the deadline to do that for registration, is going to be September 28th, 2019. So there's going to be some time in between that deadline of April 1st and when you actually have to register. But that's right now, as the rule stands, when the deadline is going to be. And then some other requirements that they're going to put into place is it's going to restrict the amount of people. So you're not going to be able to have more than 16 people in the residence at one time. This is an important one: the owner or a reachable person, and they define this in the rule, needs to be a resident of the island and reachable 24/7 by neighbors, the county, or the guests in order to deal with issues if issues arise. And so that's going to be a requirement if you're running a vacation rental. You're going to have some display of certificates and contact information that's required on the property, and the rule lays those things out in detail. And then you're going to have off-street parking, so you're not going to be able to park on the street to service the vacation rental. And there's other specifics in there, but you can kind of go through those in detail and find out more about them and your specific situation. But the most important thing about all of this is they are now, after the bill has passed, they still have to develop the rules at the planning department, and so they are collecting input from the public. And so if you have input that you want to share. There's a meeting coming up on February 28th at 5:30 in the council chamber in Kona, and so that's where you're going to be able to have public testimony and share your thoughts on this bill and how to best implement it. And that's going to be important because the folks that passed this, county council members and the folks that are now implementing it and developing the rule at the planning department, they have a limited scope of experience with these types of issues. And so if you're a homeowner or you're in the real estate community or one of the other industries that services vacation rentals like cleaners and landscapers and all of the folks, hosts that help check people in and out, you're all going to be affected by this. And if you have a perspective on how best to implement this rule and some maybe specifics that you think these folks have overlooked, this is a time to share those thoughts and information, because they are open to making adjustments and making it practical, because we're going to have to all live with it when it's all said and done, and we want to make sure that it makes the most sense possible. So again, that's going to be at 5:30 next week on February 28th at the council chamber if you want to show up and provide testimony. And as always, if you have any questions, give me a call or email, and happy to talk to you more about that. I'll see you guys next week. Aloha.